Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attendance today to this spectacular webinar. I'm Andris Unikas, for those who do not know me, from company Teltonika Networks, and I'm responsible for operational marketing. And today I will share my insights about our operating system, RutOS. Also, you will have a chance to see demos of our technical engineers. Totally, it will be 3 demos of 10 minutes length. So in total, it will be about half an hour of demo versions. Those who do not have participated in such event made by us, you have a chance to ask any question in Q&A. We will be very happy to answer them all. Again, we have 5 guys here at my side, so all your questions will be answered. After this webinar, we will upload a video of it to our YouTube channel and our website. So do not miss to subscribe YouTube channel, LinkedIn, all other social networks, social campaigns of our company Teltonika Networks. Again, all questions and answers will be listed in our website also. After the webinar of TRB2, we had many questions, about 75, 80 questions, and they were pretty hard to answer because many of you were programmers, engineers who asked different questions. So we uploaded them in our website already and the video also. So we will do the same with this webinar again today. So again, let's begin. We are going further, and for those who do not know our product portfolio, we have 2 series of gateways. TRB1 series gateways are equipped with 1 SIM card and different serial ports from RJ45 to RS485, while TRB2 series gateways has 2 SIM cards and a combination of multiple industrial interfaces, such as RS232, RS485, input and output elements, and even RJ45. Also, we have 3 series of routers, RUT2, the best sellers, with 1 SIM card, RUT9 series with 2 SIM cards, and RUTX series routers, of which 2 are seller ones and 2 non-seller ones. So all of them are quite similar because we made them, but have differences such as those that I have highlighted. SIM card number, when RUT2 and TRB1 has only 1 SIM card, while TRB2, RUT9, and RUTX has 2 SIM cards. Some of them have industrial interfaces, others do not. The same with wireless interfaces and number of Ethernet ports. And many companies can make a great product as a hardware. It's not so hard, you know, just have a design, find, let's say, a manufacturer or so, or manufacture it yourself, and you will have it. However, not the hardware makes the product so good, functional, secure, and reliable, but operating system, it does. All products which I have highlighted above has the same operating system, RutOS. So what is exactly the operating system? Operating system is an interface between a user and a hardware. An operating system is a software firmware which performs all the basic tasks like file management, memory management, handling input and output, serial ports, and other. Some of the most well-known operating systems include Windows, macOS, Android, and Linux. So Teltonika Networks RutOS is also an operating system which was made by combining more than a decade of experience with more than 50 engineers who were working constantly and managed to create an operating system which is easy to use with friendly interface and equipped with OpenWRT for customization and configuration. Our product design philosophy is to provide our partners with the most secure, easy to use, and reliable product. We are applying the same philosophy to our operating system, RutOS, to make it as secure as possible with user-friendly interface and reliability of highest standards. Without those 3 main values, it is also a highly functional operating system with multiple different features. So let's begin with the secure part, after which my colleague Nikita will make our first demo. If the product itself will not be secure, non-operating system will work correctly. Our R&D team puts a lot of efforts into making the product secure They are generating constantly vulnerability reports and updates, which they upload to CVE because we are the members of it. They are updating all packets to be up to date. Furthermore, the best thing is that our web interface is locked from the beginning and no one can break into it, while other manufacturers makes it open from the beginning. So the most important thing that I highlight about security is VPNs. We have many of them. Some of them you see in this slide, such as OpenVPN, IPsec, DMVPN, and others. Now I will give my word to my colleague Nikita, my technical engineer Nikita, who will make an introduction to Firewall, to security standards, and he will even show the demo.
Hello guys, I see even more than 300 attendees. It's very excited, very glad that I can share with you our products, our security part. To understand why our device is so secure, we need to know some basic concepts, some fundamental concepts of the network. So the first concept would be port. Andres, can you confirm that you see my screen?
Yes, I see it very well.
Very nice, thank you. So what is the port? So if the IP address is the apartment building number, then port will be apartment number. So in our device, in even every server, on some specific port lives some specific service. For example, on the port 80, we have our standard user interface, web interface. So if you want to connect to the web interface, the browser will automatically, after the IP address, will enter port 8, and you can reach the web interface and everything's fine. So if in every apartment lives some service, the malicious third party can exploit that. He can trick that person into doing something malicious. But to do that, the malicious third party must first know on which port, which service is operating and which service is up. So from here, we are going to the first step of every attack, is the port scan. So here, so port scan. So what does port scan does? Port scan is this mechanism that third parties intend to do to knock on every door on the apartment. Let's stop here and see. So the attacker is knocking on every apartment number and listening who is responding. So if, for example, our port 80 is responding back to attacker that yes, I am here, I am web interface, then attacker can use it. He can trick with other sorts of attacks. So it knows that vulnerable part can be port 80. So he will specifically address to port 80 or even other different ports. It doesn't matter. The principle is the same. So how we can prevent that? So there is a lot of techniques, a lot of methods. We have even 3 different port scan preventions, but about that a little bit later. So now you know what is the port scan first step. Right now I want to tell you why firewall is important. Firewall is important because firewall is the barrier between you and outside world. If some attacker or good traffic, router doesn't know which is traffic are good, which is traffic are malicious. So only firewall can know that, and firewall will know because administrator is configuring firewall and will tell the router or other device which traffic are good, which traffic are bad. So in this scenario, firewall is known that this packet should enter the router and this packet should not enter the router. Here we going to the first, the idea of security of the Teltonika, that we have a lot of pre-configured firewall rules. A lot of manufacturers, unfortunately, doesn't do that. And in the end user who is not familiar with firewall concepts are leaving the device open for vulnerabilities, and firewall does not exist, and every packet is going through, and every port is scanned by malicious third parties, and device is easily hacked. So right now we know about firewall concept, we know about port scan, and our firewall. So our firewall have pre-configured rules that are enabled, but we are not only stopping on that. Our user can configure additional layers of firewall rules, and in the end, it will be more secure and more suitable and more versatile for our clients, our users, to be more customizable. Everything depends on the customer needs. Other largely accepted, largely known attack is when a malicious third party after port scan know the open port, he will use DDoS attack. DDoS, deny of services attack. He will just know that there will be the botnet infected computers, and they will just overwhelm specific ports. So if the attackers scan the port, he can see that we have 80 port open from the internet site, and he will send millions, billions requests to that specific port, and router will be overwhelmed with those requests, and unfortunately will not work properly, deny of service. But in our devices, we have protection of that. So let's see those connections, those protections. So we just entered into freshly boot our root 955. First thing, we need to enter our default password. Notice that router will not let you do anything before you enter the new password, because a lot of hacking happens is not with the hacking techniques, methods. It's just with a well-known password like admin01. That's why in Teltonika, our users you cannot do anything with our device if you don't change the password. So let's change to something secure. Doesn't match. 1 minute to secure device. Something with my keyboard. Those technical issues. Okay, so we're in. I said secure device. So in our firewall department, this is the fun part. So for not a technical eye, this is very, very confusing. A lot of tabs, port forwarding, traffic rules, etc. But it's much easier than you think. So let's go to the traffic rules. What does mean traffic rules? Traffic rules means the firewall rules to accept device, accept some sort of traffic, and just drop some sort of traffic. So let's read pre-configured rules. So to any IP address on port 67 on this device. So it means it will allow any IP address that is requesting on port 67 that uses UDP protocol. This is well known for DHCP, but it's not enabled. We have a lot of rules pre-configured, a lot of is enabled, but a lot of is not enabled because specific rules is for specific users only. If you don't have DHCP relay configured on devices, you don't need this rule. So for security reasons, turn it off. The better things is our port scan. So I told you what is the port scan, but I told you there is a lot of different methods to scan. There is a Synfin attack, SynRST attack, Xmas attack, FinScan, null flag attack, a lot of, even more. But this is the most, the strongest port scan attacks. And how to enable port scan prevention? Just simply, for our users, it's very simple. Just check the Dropbox and press save. And that's all. You are prevented port scan from the malicious third parties. Other thing, for some mystical reasons, the malicious third parties still known the free port that they can use. Additionally, you can add another layer of security. It's DDoS prevention. Same thing. We already by default pre-configured for you all the values of the futures prevention, of the DDoS prevention. So we just need to additionally enable, and that's it. You are protected from DDoS, and malicious third parties will try to connect and will be enabled. For example, remote ECMP request, also known as ping flood. If we press save, we will be protected. But the main question is why by default these rules are not enabled, you may ask. It's very simple, because by default, no one from the outside world, even if you have public IP address, if you not allow to be router to be reached by clicking this these checkboxes, then nobody can access. So there's a lot of security mechanisms. I can go on and on. In the background, they're also working DNS rebind protection mechanism, ARP poisoning protection mechanism. We build a lot of automatic tools that are working and fighting the malicious third parties in the background, and you don't even notice because they doing their work. I remember very interesting story about Lithuanian cheese manufacturer. One day I had a meeting with them. We talked, and they told me that they don't believe that cybersecurity stuff, that there's someone's trying to attack, that they are not that interesting and nobody will hack them. So unfortunately, I was unable to change their mind, but after, I believe, 8 months or something like that, they contacted me with an interesting story that because they don't have a good firewall rules, they catch WannaCry virus, or in other words, mail ransomware. Ransomware, it's very simple. Where it demands, it locks your computer and asks you for ransom to transfer some amount of Bitcoin to the attacker. And in the end, I don't know if they transferred or not, but in the end, they lost a lot of information. They lost all the reports about the performance of the employees, all the storage records, everything. And right now, I know that they created strong firewall rules. They have specific firewall related policies. They blocklisted a lot of IP addresses, and after incident, they took it serious. So I strongly suggest not to have experience on your own. On your own mistakes. There's a lot of stories about that. So this is part of the demo. Once again, our devices have a lot of security mechanisms. They have DDoS prevention. They have port scan prevention. You can block specific IP address or IP addresses groups. There's a lot of mechanisms. I could talk and talk, but I believe that we will not have enough time today for this talk. So I thank you, and giving back word to Andrews.
All right, so thank you, Nikita, for this awesome demo version of security part. and the story which you told us. I hope that the demo was interesting, and now let's head to another part, which is easy to use. All right, so one of the latest features which enables customizations by user experience is basic and advanced mode choice, where you could easily select features which you need and which you do not need. With this functionality, our user interface becomes even more friendlier. This change strengthens and reflects on one of our key focus areas of product development: creating devices that are easy to use. We made these user interface improvements because we want to keep the broad functionality and full access to complex features while offering a simple configuration at the same time. Basic and advanced menu tabs will show the biggest difference at the Networks tab, where on the basic setting profile, you will already have LAN and WAN setup, and you will not be able to change it. While on advanced, you will be able to remove or amend these settings. Furthermore, the advanced tab will offer a possibility to configure VLAN, DNS, routing functionality. Going further, those who are using our routers, they know that it is possible to generate different events, such as logins, reboots, and many more. Furthermore, you can easily generate real-time graphs according to traffic or load. Many companies nowadays are trying to reduce the time which they spend in background preparing for a project. With our RutOS, we managed to help them by including auto APN functionality, which enables a possibility for automatical APN selection, meaning that end user will not need to write manually the APN. The router will choose according to the best signal of the right carrier. A simple feature, QR codes, might sound worth nothing, but with them, you can save quite a lot of time and use the web UI or even our website faster and easier. Like in this case, this QR code forwards you to our products page in website. Also, before going to the next slide, I would like to highlight that please write questions in Q&A, not in the chat, because after the webinar, we will just download the Q&A session and upload it to our website. So write it in Q&A and we will be very thankful for that. All right, so the last thing from easy to use is called FOTA, firmware over the air, meaning that in Web UI, you will have full access to the latest product firmware and upload it instantly without searching in website and other places. Furthermore, you will be constantly updated, since there will be only the latest version of firmware. The third part, reliable. Reliability is one of our key values by creating our product. Without it, we would not have so many partners across the world. Our engineers are putting a lot of efforts into making the device as much reliable as possible. Our operating system has reboot functionality if the power cuts off. Our factory and testing laboratories are always testing our products before they leave our warehouse. Also, we are testing every series of products always to ensure that there are no mistakes, bugs when the product is working constantly. That is why we call it 24/7, because the products are always tested. So now let's go to the interesting part, demo of easy to use and reliability. My colleague from technical department, Martinas Kiškys, will make this part, will make the demo and explain you how it is easy to use and what features you can find in Web UI, which will save your time, which will save your, basically your expenses.
Hello everyone, I'm Martinas, Technical Support Engineer at Teltonika. Today, I'll briefly introduce you why our devices are easy to use. Now, you can see the web user interface of our RutX11 device. This user interface is shared by all of our newest product lines, such as RutX series and TRB series devices. This means that if you become accustomed to a single device, such as this RutX11, then you'll naturally know how to configure TRB devices as well. So you'll save on your engineer's time. Our R&D has worked for the past 10 years on different generations of root products to improve the user experience. All of our product lines share nearly the same web user interface. So even if you pick an older product such as Root 900, you'll be quite familiar with the interface. So there are 4 main sections: status, network, services, and system. And we will start with the status section. So the first page is the status overview page. This is the main page for the device as user interface. It displays the most relevant information about your device. So we can see some system information about the system, so router's uptime, the hardware memory usage, so RAM memory, flash, and the firmware version. Firmware version can be also checked at the upper right corner right here. 1 second. Right here. And then we get some information about our network. So there is information about the modem. We see that our modem has established a data connectivity and is connected to a mobile network and using LTE Advanced. So basically it is using carrier aggregation. Then there is some SIM card information, like the SIM 1 is being used and how much data is being consumed and sent. Then there is some information about the wireless connectivity. So there is a 2.4 gigahertz band information and 5 gigahertz band. Also information about local area network. So basically there is a LAN IP address of the router and the subnet in which it is residing. Then we get information about our WAN network. So basically, which means we are connected to the internet. In this case, we are using mobile connectivity and we have a public IP address. And there is some concise logs. So basically we see that somebody was trying to reboot the device. Also, we see the DHCP leases that my computer has leased. This page is highly customizable and you can go to the system administration, then go to the overview setup, and you can select which information is relevant or irrelevant for you. So let's say we have configured the hotspot and we want to see its information, but we do not want to see the events of our network and system. We just click Save and Apply. We wait for the configuration to be applied. And then going back to the system status overview page, we see that the information which is being displayed in the main page has changed. There are no more logs, but there is additional information about the hotspot. Currently, hotspot is disabled. That is why there is no information about it, like how many bytes were sent and received. If we want to see the more detailed information about our system, we go into each submenu right here. So by clicking on the system, we see that more information about our device's hardware, let's say device's name, what is the serial number, what modem is being used, and same information as system which was seen before. Also, we can see the Linux kernel version and again, the memory usage. If some of these acronyms or configuration fields are unknown for you, we have a feature that you can just hover your mouse over a specific configuration field, or in this case, a label called serial number, and you will see that what is the serial number on Teltonika device. It is a unique 10-digit device identifier, which is required when connecting to the RMS. It also helps us as engineers to identify the devices. Then, if we want to see more detailed log information, we go to the network. Right here, we can see very detailed information about our connectivity to the mobile data network. So we see again what SIM card is being used, what is our modem email address. Also, we see information about our SIM card, its unique ICC ID. We see that we have registered to a home network, we are using 4G network, the signal strength, and we are even using a carrier aggregation for the higher speeds. So basically, you don't need to go to the command line interface to get the relevant information. Everything is available in the web user interface. Then if we want to know the information about the connected devices to the root device, we go to the LAN, and we see that the DCP leases to which our router has assigned. So in this case, there is only one computer connected to our device right now. It has such IP address and such MAC address. There is a lease time remaining, then this time will expire, you'll get a new lease by default. The same is exactly with wireless interface. You can check all of your wireless clients, what devices are connected, their IP address, MAC address, and some other useful information. Right now, there is no information because no clients have connected to this network. Then, another reasons why our devices are very to use is because they are configured by default to be a plug and play. We go to the network, then we select on our interfaces and check our WAN network, which in this case is mobile. And we will see that auto APM functionality is by default enabled. This means that if we want to connect to a mobile network, we only need to insert the SIM card into the device. The device will automatically detect that the SIM card has been inserted and no further configurations are needed. It will automatically connect to your operator. The same can be done for the local area network. So if we go to the LAN settings, we see that the DCP server is enabled by default. This means that all the devices which are physically connected to a root device or TRB in this case, then they automatically will get IP address. It doesn't matter if they connect via a Wi-Fi network or Ethernet ports. So if you only want to get internet connectivity to your end devices, basically you don't need to do anything besides inserting the SIM card and connecting your devices. So setting root devices is that simple. Also, our devices, as mentioned by Andrus, support FOTOS server. So if you want to upgrade the firmware efficiently, you can either go to the system firmware or click on the firmware version in the upper right corner. By clicking here, you get redirected to the same system firmware page. And if there is a new firmware available, you can download it for free and just have a newest firmware, which will provide the best functionality and, in this case, security, because it is always best to have your device on the newest firmware versions available. So if there was a firmware on the server, I would just click to upgrade from. I would select from the server and click upgrade. After that, our device would automatically download the firmware file from our servers and upgrade it. Basically, the only thing needed to upgrade the firmware remotely is internet access. So going back to, even if you experience any issues configuring our devices, or if you have any questions, you can always use our crowd support forum. Crowd support forum can be reached by the domain community.teltonikanetworks.com, and there are already over nearly 4,000 answers. So if you want to search for a specific question, you can always use our search engine and let's say tell block Wi-Fi. And then you will find the topics which were discussed about blocking the Wi-Fi. If there is no question about your specific issue, you can always create a new question. Another great tool is our wiki page, which can be found at the domain wiki.teltonikanetworks.com. We see that all of our devices available in this, and we just select the device which is relevant for us. So in this case, I would be interested in root 955. And then I can see that there is, we can download a firmware. Basically, it is easier to download firmware via the server, but if the router has no internet access, you can download it to your computer manually. Then there is a manual. So basically, all the configuration fields are explained, and the menu is exactly the same as in the web UI of device. We get the same 4 menu points: status, network services, and if we go to the status, we'll see the same submenus. So it is very, very simple to use our wiki. Then we get real-life configuration examples. So by clicking on configuration examples, you can see the real examples, let's say how to configure your VPN services. The guides are very detailed and you can freely use them. And for the last but not least, we get some information about the certification and approvals. So if you have any tenders, you can always find the certificates in our wiki page and download them in the PDF format. So that is pretty much about the ease of use of our devices. You can find nearly everything on the internet, but if you still have any specific questions, feel free to use our community forum and wiki. And for now, about the device features, I'll get back Andrews to talk about it.
All right, so thank you, Martinas. The last part today is about functionality. As I have mentioned in the beginning, our operating system is highly functional. So it has thousands of features, and in this part, we will show you just a few of them. Do not worry, I tell you. In the future, we are planning to make more webinars about RutOS, deeper information about each functionality. So write email to our info@teltonika.lt, teltonikанetworks.lt. Write emails to your sales managers, what functionality you want to be highlighted through a webinar. So let's move further and let's begin with the Modbus, an industrial protocol which is fully supported by our products. The protocols includes Modbus TCP slave and master, also Modbus RTU master. Furthermore, our database is like a locker. When internet drops down, we are still saving records. We are saving 20,000 of records, and when the internet turns on again, we are sending them instantly. Another very important thing is monitoring and management. Since most of the projects requires this, they require monitoring and management remotely. So our operating system supports 9 different monitoring and management functions like SNMP, MQTT, SSH, and others listed here. Also RMS, our remote management system. As our operating system is based on Linux OpenWRT, it is supporting third-party platforms such as Cloud of Things, ThingWorks, Cumulosity, or Microsoft Azure. Some of our products has location tracking functionality, which is very important in security business, in public transport solutions. Our operating system supports GNSS, mobile network geolocation, and even geofencing, which gives you a chance to set up a secure area. And when the router leaves this area, you get a notification by SMS or email. So about VLANs and Q&Q tunneling. So for example, one LAN can have multiple virtual LANs. This means that instead of multiple routers without VLAN functionality, you can use some of our routers with VLAN functionality. Our routers support up to 128 VLANs. Another thing from functionality is our networking features. With more than 25 network protocols, including such as MQTT or Wake on LAN and many more, VoIP functionality and load balancing over multiple WAN options. For me, at least, this key feature, which you see on this slide, hotspot, is the best thing. With our hotspot, you can save big amount of expenses since we have a built-in landing page. So you will not need programmers to make it. And our hotspot supports valid guardian, which means that you can blacklist and whitelist IP addresses. And the last slide about functionality is Wi-Fi. As we are always looking and improving security standards, we have achieved many different Wi-Fi security protocols. We have joined Wi-Fi Alliance. Our products are working in access point and in station modes, even at the same time. Furthermore, with our products, you can make multiple access points to different users. And now, the last demo by Martinas will include functionality features. He will describe you how many of those features, how functional our operating system is.
So, hi again. As I mentioned before, Teltonika devices are not only one of the easiest to use on the market, but also provide a wide range of functionality, which offers immense value to the end clients. As you know already by the slides, our devices support two different modes. There is a basic mode, which is used mostly for gaining internet access, but most of the functions are limited. So if we go to the network, we see that there are only 5 submenus, and in the services there are some more, but it is quite limited in functionality. And then if we click on mode, we can change it to advanced mode, and you'll see that there becomes more. We see that there is interfaces, DNS configuration, failover, VLANs, and etc. And we get even more services. So advanced mode is suggested for the experienced users. Going to the router services, one of the most important things for IoT router and gateway is remote monitoring and management. Our devices support multiple management protocols, and let's have a quick overview of some of them. So the first one is Teltonika RMS. It is the best monitoring and management solution for Teltonika devices. It is developed by us, and it allows to have a full remote access to devices' web user interface, which I'm right now browsing, command line interface, and it periodically collects data from device and displays it in visual charts in the RMS platform. The configuration is very simple. You just need to enable the service, and that is pretty much it. If the router has internet connectivity, it will be able to connect to the RMS platform, and the rest of configuration resides on the platform itself. If you want to learn more about the RMS functionality, check out our RMS webinar. There is a lot of useful information about our RMS service. Then, another great feature on our devices is found in mobile utilities called SMS utilities. It allows to get status of your device, perform many different actions such as reboot, enable remote access, and even change the configuration completely on your device using SMS messages. So configuration can be changed using UC API. Basically, we send a custom SMS message to the router's phone number, and we can change the configuration. The format of the SMS message follows as the router's admin password and then the command which we want to use. So if my router's password was Teltonika, I would write SMS with Teltonika and let's say use the function GPS on. By sending this message to the router, our GPS functionality would become instantly available and online. Then heading to another monitoring protocol, we have a Modbus. The Modbus protocol is fully supported, and it comes in a Modbus TCP slave and Modbus TCP master. Modbus TCP slave functionality allows us to monitor the router itself, and the configuration is very, very basic. We just need to enable the server, we have a port specified and device ID, otherwise called the slave ID. And if we want to access our device from remote location, we enable this feature. But by default, it is not enabled due to security reasons, because everything is blocked from the internet unless it is enabled. Then, going to the Modbus TCP master functionality, our router is capable of monitoring other devices as well. So, we can click on Add Devices, and by adding a slave device, we'll be able to monitor a connected device. It can be any industrial electronic device, it can be a PLC or some sensor, but the configuration is a little bit trickier. So first we need to enable this specific slave device monitoring, specify a name for it. It can be anything that is meaningful for you, specify the slave ID and IP address and port number. So knowing this information, the router will know which device is this specifically configured slave device. Then, if we want to acquire information from this slave device, we need to create a request from that device. So we create as many requests as there are different data types. So let's say I create a new request called testing. And we see that in the configuration, we get specific data types and functions, which data types and functions to use, and also the registers and the register count is specific to each connected device. So basically, if you have some PLC or a sensor, you'll need to read its manual, and then by reading the manual, you'll know which data type is being used and which function to use. So if there are different data types on a single device, you can configure a separate requests for each device. Then another very great feature on Modbus is alarms configuration. First, we add an alarm. And what this function basically allows us to do is if we monitor our specific device, and let's say it is a temperature sensor. We know that a specific register value is, let's say, a temperature, and we don't want that temperature to exceed 80 degrees Celsius. So we specify a specific register value right here and select a condition. Let's say, is it equal to or more than, less than? It all depends on the use case itself. But basically, if it was a temperature sensor and this register value would exceed the pre-configured one, we could trigger an action. Action allows us to send an SMS to a specified phone number, and let's say the message could be anything. Alarm, a specific temperature sensor exceeded the pre-configured value, which it should be working below, and then specify phone number. There is also another action, which is, sorry, not here. It is a Modbus write request. So basically, we can use this action to change a specific register value on the connected device as well. Then going to another monitoring protocol, we have a command line interface. We can use the command line interface both locally and remotely. The username for this command line interface is root, and the password is your default password. Don't be afraid if you do not see the password. It is a security feature on the Unix systems. And if you enter your password correctly and click enter, you will get connected to the router CLI. When you're in the router CLI, you can run multiple different commands. Either you can view the logs of the device by using command log read, and you will see very detailed information about your devices, what was exactly happening with it. Also, you can change any configuration on the device as well. So the configuration files are stored in etc config directory. If we change to this directory and use a command ls, we see all of our configuration files. So there is OpenVPN configuration file, network, Modbus, and etc. So if you prefer using a command line interface over the web user interface, you are free to do so, and it can be done both locally and remotely, and even using errormets. If you want to use, let's say, if you want to view a specific config, let's say network config, use command cat, and you will see the config. If you want to change configurations, you can use the bit text editor. All the commands which I'm using are standard Unix and Linux commands. So if you want to do specific actions, and if you're familiar with Linux, you will not be lost with our device as well. Then going on the last monitoring features is the third-party cloud softwares. but they are not pre-installed by default. We can see them in the package manager. So there is Microsoft Azure IoT Hub, Cumulosity, Cloud of Things, ThingWorks, and etc. If you want to add these packages to our standard functionality, we click on plus. And if our device has internet access, it will download it automatically, and it will appear in our cloud solutions. So now there is not only RMS, but also Azure IoT Hub. So that is a quick overview of the monitoring protocols. There are several more, but we do not have that much time to go over all of them. Then we get a Bluetooth functionality. It was newly introduced on our RutX10 and RutX11 devices. This feature allows us to monitor sensors which are using Bluetooth. The only thing about which we need to do is to pair the devices. So those devices need to be activated via NFC by default. And then we can send all the collected information from those devices to the server by using data to server functionality. So the configuration is really simple. If there was currently around me Bluetooth devices, I would just click a scan. I would find that device and click on pair. After pairing, our device will start automatically to collect data. And then using data to server functionality, we will configure that data to be sent to our specified server. Then our router as well has self-diagnostic tools. So it has a hardware and software watchdogs, which monitor the router itself. And if something unexpected happens, they automatically restore the device. Also, there are some active tools which can be enabled, such as ping reboot. So this feature allows us for router to automatically reboot itself or a modem if there is no internet connectivity. So if our router is pinging a specific hostname or IP address, and for some reason the pings are failing, you can always perform a reboot on the router automatically, and there is no need to do any manual reset on the device itself. And for the last of today's presentation, we have another great service, which is called Hotspot. This service is great because it allows clients to set up a landing page using different authentication modes and without the need to use paid third-party services. So to configure Hotspot, we click on the pencil button. So this functionality also allows to easily monitor the connected users and limit their download and upload speeds, and limits also the bandwidth that they can use. So let's say you can specify each client to use only 100 megabytes of data, so your data plan wouldn't be used. Landing page can be configured by going here, and by default, we have a default landing page already inbuilt. Sadly, there is no way to look how it looks in the web user interface. We will need to connect using a mobile phone, but you can get its HTML code right here. And if you don't like to use Teltonika's default landing page, you can always upload your own custom page. There is no limitations for this custom hotspot landing page. This makes our hotspot a perfect solution in public places like coffee shops, airports, public transportation, and others. And as you can see, we have managed only briefly to go through our device's functionality. Our devices are packed with many more features which I was unable to go through all of them. But make sure to, if you want to learn more, to visit our wiki page. Again, there are many manuals and configuration examples. And with this, I end the practical part and give the word back to Andrus.
All right, so thank you, Martinos, for such a great demo of functionality that our RutOS has. To all of you, I would like to sum up what you have seen today. You saw how secure our operating system is with all preventions, firewalls, VPNs. You saw how easy to use and reliable our operating system is. And you saw a part of functionality it has, including hotspots, networking protocols, and more. So we have managed to do all of this with the help of more than 50 R&D engineers, 30 support engineers, and the feedback from more than 5,000 our partners across the globe. Also, partners are knowing us well because we are flexible, we can adapt to the partner needs, and already in less than a year, we have exceeded more than 100,000 coding comments, which sounds unbelievable, at least for me. So thank you all